Okay, my name is Akodola Inka. I'm a senior state counsel at the Directorate of Public Prosecution, Lagos State Ministry of Justice. And what that means is that I'm one of the state prosecutors. The prosecutor has a lot of role to play in abuse cases. And when we talk about abuse cases, we're talking about different parties. We're talking about the victim of the abuse. We're talking about the defendant, who is the suspect, the one that has committed the offense. And then we're talking about the state, because when you have court matters, you've got the state, who is the complainant, you've got the victim, and then you've got the defendant. So the role of a prosecutor in an abuse case is to ensure that justice is done. That is the key role. That's the very major role that you play to all parties. I mean, because the state, yes, is coming forward to allege that this person has committed this crime. And then the victim is saying, this person has committed this crime against me. And then this person on the other end as well is saying, oh, okay. I mean, you have two ways. It's either the person is saying, I did it, or no, I did not. So, but I mean, everyone deserves justice, and justice means that, there's someone out there listening to all sides of the story, and, So, for the defendant, the prosecutor would have to ensure that there is a concise and an accurate legal advice saying that this person, this suspect, actually committed this crime. Usually, I would give an example. What I mean by legal advice is usually we get files from the police. For example, when a crime has been committed, let me give, say, defilement or rape, and then the police takes the statement of the victim and then the suspect and whoever it was that witnessed it, if there was a witness, and then the police visits the scene of the crime, of the incident, and then documents all of this, and then sends the file to our office, which is the Directorate of Public Prosecution. And then because they don't have the knowledge of the law, they're asking us, okay, this man touched this girl in an indecent way. What is the law? What law has been broken? And then we're looking through the file, and then we're looking at the law, and we're saying, oh, okay, this is rape. Oh, okay, no, this is not rape because of the age of the victim. This is, defilement because, it's the victim is below the age of 18. And according to the law, once a child is anyone below the age of 18. So once the victim is anyone below the age of 18, that's defilement. But if it's anyone above the age of 18, then that is rape. So we're telling the police, oh, okay, this is what it is. It is defilement, it is rape, it is sexual assault by penetration. That's where, you have maybe the suspect using an object, or maybe just a part of the body that it's not, private. So we're telling the police that this is what it is, and then we send a copy to them, and then we tell them this matter cannot be tried at the magistrate court. It would have to go to the high court. So that's what legal advice is. So a prosecutor holds to the defendant that an accurate and concise legal advice is sent out on a timely basis, and that because pending the time that you're reviewing this file, pending the time that the police is sending the file to you and you're reviewing, this suspect is in custody and he doesn't know what his fate is. So a prosecutor needs to ensure that the advice comes out in time so that this person or the suspect understand what his fate is and then is able to move on. So that's the duty of the prosecutor to the defendant. So when it comes to the victim, the prosecutor has a lot of role to play. You need to give the victim assurance. You need to ensure that you're able to calm the witness. You need to, at the earliest opportunity, you need to build a relationship with the witness, because these are your material evidence. These are your key evidence to prosecute the case. So you need to build some sort of relationship with the victim and then make them understand that you will do everything in your capacity to ensure that justice is done. And you ensure that you give them the assurance that you ensure speedy trial, and that there is no unusual delay from your end. And well, yeah, and that's the duty of the prosecutor to the victim. And then to the state itself, you hold the state, because you're going there to represent the state, so you owe the state that you conduct yourself in a fit and proper manner, and that you use all the resources that has been given to you to prosecute the case in a diligent and effective way. So. Well, it takes so long prosecution takes long in these abuse cases because of certain challenges, and those challenges sometimes are beyond human control. Let me start by saying sometimes you don't have witnesses coming forward because of social and cultural beliefs. You don't have them coming forward. They're saying, oh, okay, this is some sort of taboo, or because of stigmatization, they're not interested. They don't want to come forward to prosecute these cases. And so when you don't have witnesses coming forward, it's a very big headache for a prosecutor, because what are you going to court to put forward? How are you going to prosecute your cases? So a lot of these witnesses don't come forward, like I said, because of stigmatization, because of socio-cultural beliefs. I was using an example. There was a case that we had, a case of defilement, where the mother came forward and said, look, I don't want to prosecute this case because this person is my husband, is a taboo, and then we have to go back to the village to perform some sort of spiritual cleansing, and so I don't want my husband to go to jail. In that case, a prosecutor's hand is tied, because that is your key witness, and there's really not much you can do without the key witness. Even though sometimes we're able to push through with the investigation the police has conducted, if you have some other circumstantial evidence, for example, like medical reports, and maybe like, say, some sort of objects that ties the defendants to the crime. So sometimes we're able to push forward, but then it would take a long time. So that's one. Then sometimes when we have witnesses, like for example, police officer that investigated the matter, and then they are transferred, because usually police, they have internal system as well. So for example, if we get a defilement case from a police officer that was serving in Yaba when the incident happened, and then by the time the incident went from magistrate court to the high court, usually this takes sometimes 6 months, a year or more. So in that process, this police officer could have been transferred to Borno, because they also have their internal arrangements, or there could have been promotion, and then he's moved from Yaba to maybe a Borno, or maybe Calabar, or Ekiti, and then the prosecutor starts to run around to see how he can get the officer down to come and give evidence of his investigation. So that's another clog in the wheel of the prosecutor. So yes, that's it. Then sometimes you don't have comprehensive investigation done. A lot of the time you have to now go back to trace the officer that investigated the matter, and then you're saying, officer, please, we need to go back to the scene of the crime. The victim said this, said that. Can we still maybe find one or two objects to link this suspect or this defendant to the crime? So we get that at times, prosecutors running around to fill the loopholes from investigation. So that's another challenge that causes delay. And then, like I said, we have sometimes circumstances beyond our control, and then these are where we have witnesses like doctors to give evidence in maybe an examination that was conducted maybe in a defilement case, and then the doctor is already in the court, and then maybe 30 minutes into is giving his evidence, is being called for an emergency. So because of the nature of their job, a lot of time it takes, ages to be able to get them to court to give evidence. And then I was in court yesterday, and matter was called, and 2-3 minutes into the matter, we had power outage. And then the court couldn't go on because of that. There was no power, and then for some reason the generator was not working. So, and then for that reason, there was need for an adjournment. And so usually, and then when you get adjournment like that, obviously the court's docket or the court's diary would be full for that month, because you have other matters as well. So we would have to get adjournment maybe for the next month or maybe the month after. So that's, another reason why you have, all these sexual abuse cases spanning months or sometimes years before the victim gets justice. Yes, there are chances, and in fact, a lot of the stakeholders in the justice system are actually working. There are a whole lot of reforms going on. For example, we have now the Sexual Offences Court, which is a special court that has been dedicated to try all forms of sexual offences, which is defilement, rape, assault by penetration, and some other forms of sexual abuses. So yes, that's a very major step in ensuring speedy trials of sexual abuse cases. And then for us as well, at the Directorate of Public Prosecution, we also have created a unit to attend to sexual offense cases. So for example, now once we get case files that has to do from the police that has to do with sexual offenses, maybe rape, defilement, we treat it within 2-3 days, and immediately we are issuing the legal advice. Is going out with the information that has to be filed at the magistrate court, so that there is we don't have like a long time. It's not, because sometimes the witnesses are discouraged based on the time span, between, when the defendant was arraigned at the magistrate court and then when the matter got to the High Court. So you're calling a witness, and this sometimes takes about 6 months, a year or more. So you're calling a witness maybe a year after the incident, and the witness is telling you, I've moved on with my life. It's not a chapter I want to open up anymore. So yes, we're working on all of that. And then we do trainings with the police on, the things to look out for while they're investigating. When you go to a sexual abuse crime, what are the things that I'm supposed to, when you go to a sexual abuse scene, what are the things that I'm supposed to look out for? What sort of objects am I supposed to look out for, Maybe, for example, in a rape case or defilement case, I'm supposed to be looking out for maybe a blood-stained pant, things like that. We conduct trainings with the police on regular basis. So, yes, so I'm certain that we would definitely be having speedy trials. Okay, for victims, yes, I would say that I would encourage people to come forward, because a lot of people have the notion that, the system doesn't work and, they don't get justice. But the ones that have come forward do get justice. Yes, it takes a lot of time sometimes because of a few of the challenges that I've just mentioned. But yes, the justice system is working. It is actually working. And I would encourage people to please come forward. Because, sometimes people need to understand that there are procedures and there are process. You don't just run to court. And, like I was saying earlier, if we use the sexual abuse cases happening in the US right now, you can't even say that, one or two. For example, even the Harvey Weinstein case has not gone to court yet, because there are a whole lot of investigation that needs to be conducted. So, yes, these things sometimes takes time, but at the end of the day, people get justice. For example, in the Bill Cosby case, it's now in court after how many years? So, there are a whole lot of investigation involved, but people should please come forward. And you know, when it has to do with stigmatization, I think we're in that era where, you know, people now understand. So once you're a victim, don't say that, oh, you know, the society would look down on me and things like that. No, there's a whole lot of exposure and people are getting to understand. So people should please come forward. And then for the suspect and defendant, sometimes when these things happen, it's not in all cases that you're sent to jail. For example, we have child offenders. And a lot of these children, when they're found guilty, they're sent for rehabilitation because we understand that they're children. They're not supposed to be acting the way they are acting. So we understand that something could have been, there must be a reason why they're doing this thing. So we need to get to the root of it and we need to help them. Rather than send them to prison, we send them for rehabilitation. There's something we call restorative justice, like I said earlier. This is where the defendants, suspects, defendant, and the victim, they both get some sort of help, you know. So yes.